Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today from Columbus, Ohio. My name is James Kronenberger. I'm going to share my testimony so people can kind of understand what happened. You know, a lot of people want to assume this and that happened. I mean, the stories are so far-fetched. Like one person said I was in Australia kidnapping people. I just saw that text today, and I kind of laughed because I've never been to Australia, knowing that is a beautiful country to go to, and I would not mind joining it. At the age of 7 years old, I was a victim of sexual abuse from a swimming instructor at the YMCA. Nobody in my family or anything. And I was crying one day, and I told my mom I hated swimming. She knew I loved swimming. So she put me in another class, which I never had a problem then. The guy was really good. He taught me a lot about swimming and so forth. But, you know, some of the stuff that, I was a victim of sexual abuse, like I said. Some of the actions of that man did not help me. When I got a little bit older, starting at the age of 13, I started exposing myself. I never physically touched anyone in my life or anything like that. I never kidnapped anyone. That was made up by Cuyahoga County, the city of Cuyahoga County. Let me explain that a little bit too. A lot of people will plead guilty to cases they did not do because they lied to. They'll be told they could do, they'll say, oh, well, you're going to do 50 years if you don't plead to this for 5 years. Well, we find out after the fact, you couldn't even do that much time. And they said, oh, you would get out in 6 years, 8 months, 21 days because you'll be coming home on the parole. I knew nothing about the parole. So I was lied from day one, and I fought the wrongful convictions because I was not guilty of attempted kidnapping by no means. I was guilty of public indecency, which was the original charges that the city of Berea did drop. Judge Todia asked me to go to treatment at the time, and I did, and I did everything he said. And then I think it was like 2 months later or 90 days later, I got an indictment from Franklin County, for attempted kidnapping. I went there and I ended up serving my prison time for a crime that did not occur. The kidnapping did not occur. Public indecency did, and I would have been out already by then. But this is how our system works. But at the age of 13, I started exposing myself to others. And one day my dad got called from the Paris police, and they brought me in and they talked to me real nice, and said, you can't do this stuff. But it was something that was drilled in my mind that it just kept happening. And I had to end up forgiving this guy. Eventually, this was many years after I was locked up, that I asked God to deliver me from the hatred that I had towards this person, because he did not force me to do wrong. I did wrong on my own. So yes, I'm labeled as a sex offender, which a lot of attorneys said I should not be because it was public indecency, but because of the lying of Cuyahoga County, they do get you for the wrong conviction a lot of times, and they sentence people under false pretenses. And that's something that I would like to see change. And I have no problem with people being held accountable. I have no problem with me being held accountable for the things that I did do wrong. But when you have people coming out and saying, you raped multiple people, and I never was charged or convicted of rape. They need to really know the facts. They said the news told them that. Well, if the news said that, they need to tell me that, because that never happened. And I'm not sure why people want to lie about people's individual cases. And I don't even care at this point. But my concern is people can change. It took me many years to change. I remember when I was in Horizon, and really I don't think I took a lot of stuff serious until I went through Horizon Initiative. Jeff Hunsinger and Christy Money pretty much started that back in, I think it was 1990. Christy Money was a warden at Marion Correction at the time, one of the greatest wardens. Same with Maggie Beetler and Jason Bunning, 3 great wardens. But when they were no longer there, they brought over a warden from, assistant warden from Mansfield. That is horrible. And now it's actually one of the worst prisons in the state of Ohio. More fights than ever. 10 years I was at Marion, I seen 1 fight. That's it. Now they're having fights daily. A lot of what they call fights is just pushing. You push somebody, and they lock you up for fighting. But I think it was a Tuesday night. No, it was Thursday night after Awakening. Carl Kleck taught Awakening. He went through the Horizon program years ago. He was the one that Warden Christine Money helped him get his psychologist degree. So he became a PhD before he got out of prison. To my knowledge, I believe he's the only one ever to get their degree like that, in prison. But he taught Awakening. We have a workbook. I still have my workbook someplace here. But we went back to my bunk, and we were having discussions, and they have all the recognizable religions there. But I was in the family with all Christians. Muslims were with them. Wiccans were with them, and so forth. But I got tired of really having to deal with people and the criminal justice system that I actually rededicated my life to Christ that day. I didn't really care who saw me or anything. It was time for me to start lifting other people up and start praying for others. And I have been doing that. And it's like sometimes I wished I was not involved in advocating for others, because I put myself a target. But then if I would quit, that's not what God wants me to do. He spared my life back in May from the brinks of death, from 2 heart attacks and 2 strokes. I had to obey him and do what he wants me to do. So really, like I said, I did a lot of wrong things in my life. I had great, great parents, Christian parents. I was adopted, great sisters, and a brother. My brother passed away, and my father did. But, and if I would have passed away last spring, that would have been all the men in the family. And I don't remember anything from that time. I spent, I think, I don't know, 5 or 6 weeks in the hospital, something like that, because I went to rehab afterwards to learn how to walk again. But what I want people to realize, no matter what you've done wrong in your life, you can before. And people can change. Thank you very much, people, for listening. Karen, I do ignore stuff, but when they go after my family and call them, I'm not going to. You might let people do that. I'm not going to. And I did not call the ODRC. They called me. So how can I ignore that when they call me?